Morning again, everyone. It is a Saturday, November the 15th, 2025. Good old 710 KNUS. I'm Peter Boyles. 72 will be the high today. My motorcycle's outside. 71 on Sunday and Monday, 60 degrees. Before Tom Martino joins us and we're talking about talk, there's an important event coming up December the 7th for the 40th time. Children's Hospital Toy Run. And I get overwhelmed by it, and I've been doing it, I don't know, for close to 30 years, but it started 40 years ago. These are two very fine men. Please say good morning and welcome to the radio show. First, Jim Otto from Big Iron Sports, and of course, the one, the only, Bob Kugelich is with us, and he is with Children's and also with the Toy Run. Both of you, first of all, Jim, thank you for doing the show. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
More than you know. And to Bob, thanks for doing the show, man, and good morning, and thank you as well.
Thank you for having us, Peter.
Bob, you're the really good chronicle of this. 40 years ago, a couple old bikers, and one of them is the president of my motorcycle club, Vinny Terranova. What was that decision, and what did they do?
Vinny was just a few years, I believe, into their new business, Rocky Mountain Harley Davidson. And I think from what I hear, on a whim, he and a few buddies decided to hop on their bikes that year, 40 years ago, and ride up to Children's Hospital downtown and drop off a few toys. And as we all know, it's kind of mushroomed from there.
Hey, Bob, to Bob, how many people do you expect this year to ride to Children's, given the weather?
Well, given the assurance we've had of 53 degrees and sunshine, I'm hoping for, at least about 3,000.
I remember, I think it was my first year I did it, and we went from Aspen Grove Shopping Center, Kathy and Vinny, and went to the old Children's, and the bikes were still in Aspen Grove, and they had arrived at Children's Hospital. That was amazing. I mean, that was just amazing. And now it's...
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, it was... Bob, how long have you done this, and what is your role? I should have asked you that, your individual roles. To Bob, what's your role in all of this?
Well, I believe, to answer your first question, I think this is my 20th year participating in the event. And it all began with me being a customer at Rocky Mountain Harley and being part of that HOG chapter, that club of the dealership there. And the first ride I did to Children's Hospital, I believe it was 2005 or 6. I'm not positive which one was the first. But seeing all those kids' faces in the windows, I knew... Yeah. I teared up right away and knew I was going to have to get involved with the hospital in some way. So now I'm a volunteer there and have been on the volunteer board of directors, the hospital board, the foundation board, all of those things. So I get involved in a number of events and activities, but the toy run is the nearest and dearest to my heart.
Yours and mine. And then, Jim, with Big Iron, when did you come into this?
Let's see. Well, I started riding in the toy run about 10 years ago in 2016. But in my role at Big Iron Sports, most people don't know who that is. But we own Mile High Harley Davidson in Aurora and in Parker Grand Prix Motorsports and Foothills Motorcycles. So I do promote and manage all the marketing for those 4 dealerships.
Hey.
But honestly, I'm honored to have kind of taken on the mantle of being the home and supporting dealership with Mile High and keeping this tradition going.
Those guys are great. I mean, that's where I go, and wow. And one of the things that's going to happen this year is the 40th anniversary. So Vinny will be honored, and Kathy's out of town. Her daughter's having a baby, and we're trying to find who was those guys. And I hope it's not been lost, but how many of those guys that came out there, those grizzled old bikers that decided to take toys to Children's Hospital? It is so emotional, at least for me, and I know it is for you two guys. When you now after COVID, nobody goes into the hospital, but I mean, I remember those kids coming outside, and even when you have emotional stuff in your life and you have problems, to Jim and Bob, you got no problems when you walk away, do you?
That's exactly what I say every day.
Yeah, we got no problems. I mean, I the emotional part of children you bring, and then Harley puts on a party, but man alive, and so Vinny's going to be awarded on the 7th, and we're going to put together a bunch of guys from the club. But to both of you, be back with me next Saturday, and we'll plug it again and plug it again and we'll plug it again. But it's December the 7th, and taking toys to Children's Hospital. Jim, it's a real pleasure to get to know you, and Bob, both of these guys I've never met before, but I will. Maybe I'll get you in studio next week. We'll see what happens. But Jim, thank you, and tip of the hat to Big Iron, and Bob, as always. Vinny speaks so highly of you. Thank you very, very much.
Well, thank you, and thanks to all of our sponsors. We just want to encourage everybody to get pre-registered so that it'll help with the counts for this year to break the record, and want everybody to come out. It goes on no matter what the weather is. The event still happens that day.
I've ridden in those days too. Jim, Big Iron, tell folks how they can look at the website and how they can start getting registered.
Yeah, there's several ways to do so, but probably the easiest way would be to go to milehigh-harley.com and go to our events page, and there is featured the toy run with a link to the registration page. And the importance of registering is really for that rare occurrence if we do have to change things or the police call off any motorcycles, and we can reach out to everybody that has signed up and tell them no bikes, we're going to switch to cars. But that's not going to happen this year.
The truck run. Thank you.
That's right.
I called it the truck one. Jim Otto, thank you. Bob, thank you. And we'll talk in the middle of this week, and we'll do the show again next Saturday. Thanks, guys. Be safe.
My pleasure, Peter.
Thank you, fellas. Mine. All right. We're talking about talk. Let me hit the button. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, he brought flame on so many different people.
Yeah,
yeah.
Peter.
You look great.
Thank you.
Tom Martino, ladies and gentlemen. It is Mandy Connell was with us. And
yeah, I heard. I was listening.
Were you? What were you doing this morning? You're in the gym.
I had a seminar of investors. Just
okay.
one of my things. So we were advertising it, and I had it this morning, and I ducked out to be with you, man.
You the man. How do I begin? I met you at KHOW. Is where
That's right. That's right.
And
I was a frequent guest with on Alan Berg show.
Well, you were also across the hall.
Right, on the TV.
Now, we're talking about the old KHOW.
KHOW TV and KHOW radio.
And Q1035, no, it was...
Q, yeah, 101, no, at the time.
What was it? It was
Q,
called...
It's just Q103, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was automated.
Yeah.
And they would call up, can I request a song? No. How did you get into business?
Well, okay.
You're going to be with us until the end of the show.
Here's what I was doing. Okay, I was working in the mailroom of a newspaper, and I loved writing, so they would let me come up and be a cub reporter and write about things.
But you had finished school, right?
Yeah, and I was in a community college at the time.
Right.
Okay. I later finished, but I was at the community college and working at the newspaper. And then I got ripped off in a car deal, and I wrote a story about it. They let me write a story about it, how I took this girl to court and won small claims court, and I talked about how to do that. And then I got a bunch of mail, and they said, this is pretty popular. And there were other questions in the mail, and they said, okay, can you answer these for your next one? So I kept answering these, and it became a question answer. Peter, looking back, I was probably one of the first question answer columns. Dear Abby was back then, and things like that, but they were about life and not about consumer stuff. And I was answering questions.
I think my husband is cheating.
Yeah. So
yeah, sure.
I answered consumer stuff. Then from there, from the newspaper, I wanted to do TV for a long time. So there was a stringer position open.
Tell people what a stringer
A
is.
stringer is someone that they keep you on a string and only use you when they want to. So it's a
exactly
freelancer.
right.
So the stringer, they would call me and say, "Can you get over to such and such?" I'd be paid for that story, and at least it was my foot in the door. So I would carry a camera with me. I'd go out and shoot the story, send it up.
Shoot video?
Yeah, there was no video. It was film.
Film, okay.
would
I meant film.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I would shoot film, take the spool out, put it on a bus. The bus would take the film up to the labs, up to Albany, New York, where WRGB, and then I would call in on the phone and do the narration part.
Voice it.
Yeah, so I'd voice my film, and I did that so much, the newspaper said, "Tom, you got to make a choice," and I said, "Okay, I'm going TV." So I was just a stringer on TV, but they had a radio station too, so I was able to get on radio. When I got on radio, I said to the GM, I did this column in the newspaper. I would like to try on radio. And here's what he said. "You mean like people call in?" And I say, yeah.
Yeah.
He said, and Peter, talk radio was Larry King and others like that.
Yep.
But they didn't know what other talk radio would be. And I said, no, I would actually answer a question. He goes, "You mean they would ask you a question on the phone and you'd answer it on the air?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I don't think it would work." He said, "How long can you talk about broken toasters?" And I said, "Okay,
Watch.
can we try it?" So they had a 15-minute news block that they gave me to do this in, and I called and I asked for people to call in. And oddly enough, people called in. And it became a 15-minute show, then it expanded. And then the rest is history. From there, I went to Florida.
I remember that was where
I worked TV and radio in Florida.
Right.
And then Roger Ogden, when he moved from Channel 9 to Channel 4 and did that big change at Channel 4.
I remember.
And we became a News Center 4, I believe it was. I went over to 4 from Florida. I went from Florida to North Carolina to here. I was in North Carolina for a very short bit. I went there to build this inflation fighter, they called it. It was a unit
Yes.
of the inflation fighter. So then I came here. When I came here, I became the troubleshooter, and that was like 40 years ago. And so I was on Channel 4 for 22 years, and I was doing KOA radio. And of course, you know the story there. I was doing KOA radio part-time, and then I took over Alan Berg's time slot.
Yeah.
And we knew each other the whole time. Sure. I remember when we were talking about crazy times, when we would get together over at that place on 10th and Lincoln, it was Ron Zappolo, you, me, and Alan Berg.
Yeah.
We would sit there and shoot the breeze, and it was an amazing time. Here's what was amazing about it. Let me explain it. If you were on either an ABC, NBC, or CBS affiliate. We didn't have any. The independent stations would play cartoons and stuff. So
Channel 2.
So we would be the shiznits.
Yep.
They would say, "Are you Tom Martino from Channel 4?" Now people can watch 1,000 stations and 10,000 podcasts. Peter, we really, truly, our celebrity has been taken away, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but we used to be something. If you had a talk show or if you were on the news, my God, my wife, Stephanie Riggs, she was an anchor woman on the news. We couldn't go anywhere. She knew everybody and everybody knew her. Now, if you're on the news, they might say, "Oh yeah, I saw you once," or they say, "What are you doing now?" Peter, think about it. Sure. Everyone is a celebrity. Everyone.
You mentioned AB. Tom Martino's here, 710 KNUS, Peter Boyles, 710. Talking about talk next week will be your turn to call in and talk about talk. But you're right. I mean, I used to think of Martino. We were talking about, my God, Zappolo. We're talking about all those guys. We were princes of the city.
No, we were. I know.
And
it was fun.
You couldn't.
It was fun. People say, "Oh yeah, I didn't do it for that." I love people, and I love when they say, "Hey." Now what they say is, "Are you Tom Martino? What are you doing these days?" I say, "Well, I have a 4-hour show every day still." And they go, "Oh, you're the troubleshooter." And then somebody will say, "I recognize your voice." And here's the best: whenever a young woman comes up, "My grandfather loves you."
You're going, and like you're dating someone who
my grandmother loves you. My grandfather. You look at Peter. It's changed. I heard Mandy talking about it. Talk about short attention span. I mean, It is amazing. You get somebody on the phone. I used to have full lines lit 10 minutes before the show, 10 minutes after the show. You couldn't get a call in edgewise. All talk shows have gone downhill because people don't want to call in. They don't want to call in and wait, and they don't want to sit there and listen to others. No patience.
No, I was your lead at KHOW, and
the two of us, those lines were slammed.
Killed them.
No, I'm
we
serious.
killed them. No, we did.
And they were ringing all through the afternoon for us. But you were my lead-in, and that is so important. You have to have a lead-in.
Great lead.
And then you have to have someone that you
behind
lead.
you.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's a sandwich, and you want to have good people before and after you, and you get that spill-off audience. But Peter, right now though, how do you make your way with 1,000 or 10,000 podcasts and talk radio? Don't you think? I think conventional radio is dying. Okay, it's dying.
We're talking about it. Yes,
it's dying, and we, as Mandy said this year, we have to have new ways of distribution. Of course, my audience is doubled or tripled after the on-air element is less than any other part of my radio show. Most of it are downloads and streaming.
Yeah,
think about that.
The world has changed. It's Saturday. Good morning, everyone. That voice so distinctive. Tom Martino, Peter Boyles. We're talking about talk. Patricia Calhoun, Jimmy Sangenberger's coming up. Steve Reams coming up. And Tommy's going to stay with and co-host to the end of the show. The radio in America is facing challenges from all kinds of different places. Not from when we were kids getting into business. And we're laughing on the way out with Mandy what it once was.
Yeah.
And
it was everything. I mean,
Tommy.
I mean, here you talk about something, and then you can. It was like you could be in a restaurant here, and people say, "Did you hear what so and so said?"
Absolutely.
It was such a major part of people's lives.
AB was that. He was. We would go out every Friday night for dinner, and I think I've told the story on the air before, but he had such an impact. Berg did.
Yeah.
And there was a place called the Tally Ho, and it was owned by a guy named Joel Barron, who was also a Jewish guy from Chicago, so they had that great connect. And it was a prime rib joint, and it was good food. So we're out there together. He's got Linda McVeigh, and I got whomever's with me, and we're eating prime rib, and I see a woman coming out of the bar, because it was open.
Yeah.
I said, here we go. And behind her is her husband. The guy could eat apples off of my head, and I'm thinking, all right, it's on. And he was no scrapper. I mean, he had he was. And I said, and he's back to him, and I said, and I'm thinking, okay, what do I got to do? Because and she started up on him, and because he alienated so many people, and her husband comes up, and her husband's huge, and Berg spins on the guy. And he says,
God.
Sir, remember he would do that
Yeah.
thing? And he said, what do you do for a living? And I'm holding the wine bottle down below the table. And the guy said he was like a block foreman or something, I forget. And Berg said, all right, you come over to my house on Saturday and lay bricks, and I'll talk to your wife. And I'm looking at him like, and the guy thinks, yeah. And he takes his wife, and they go back in the bar. And he was like one of those guys that's like a whistle down dogs, I'm looking at him, how'd you do that? But he did.
Yeah.
He did.
If you think about, I mean, one kid with a blog can hit more people than our local news.
Now, and
think about it.
They're telling me to break.
Okay.
And what I do when we come back, what's happened? Joseph Heller says something happened. Tom Martino's with us. Peter Boyles, 710. Patricia Calhoun coming up. Everybody else. And then next week, I'm getting tons and tons and tons of email, text messaging, and we'll get everybody next week. You can talk about this. 710 KNUS, hang on.
Your KNUS forecast for the Denver metro area calls for a cool start to what will be another warm weekend of fall weather here around the Central Rockies and High Plains. Here in the metro area, we're going to see high temperatures today and Sunday near 70. It'll be a beautiful Sunday afternoon for Broncos football. Dry through the weekend until Sunday night when a little shower activity is possible thanks to a trough of low pressure moving in, and that'll kick off cooler temperatures Monday into Tuesday, highs upper 50s. I'm meteorologist Mark Huer in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Good music. Oh, me, the streak. Leonard Skinner going to be in Sturgis this year. 710 KNUS, Denver's talk station. Tom Martino, Peter Boyles, 72 the high, 71. There, we knocked that down.
Yes, sir.
You know, Tommy drums, and you
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen your drum kit. It's
Yeah.
It's strong.
It's Neil Peart style.
yeah. And
Not the talent, but I have the drums.
I got Tom Martino, Peter Boyles. It is. I'm getting so many text messaging. We will. I promise you, next Saturday.
People love text because they don't have to. It's the new way to communicate. I mean, I've seen kids text each other when they're across the room.
As promised, ladies and gentlemen, joining us, the one, the only, Patricia Calhoun, Westword's editor-in-chief, Tom Martino, Peter Boyles, Patty Calhoun. Patricia, thank you. I know your day is busy as well. Tom's here in studio, and thank you for doing the show, and welcome on a Saturday.
Oh, no problem. Good morning.
We are going down memory lane and talk radio lane and music radio lane. How much of an input now do you get on what happens on Denver radio?
It's very interesting to see when we put up a post. Most recently, Michael Roberts wrote about the big changes in the morning at KOA, which, of course, have changed KNUS. And we get a lot of response on radio.
See?
Comments.
Weird.
Yeah, so it's surprising because you also know that a lot of younger people aren't listening. But I think what happens is the audiences for talk radio are really active. They like to text. They like to send in comments. So they really respond to stories.
I mean, both
Most
of you,
audiences are more interactive now. That's one thing for sure. They take part more because it's more niche-y, and they can get into what they want specifically.
Patricia?
Well, true with radio, but I can tell you, I can watch right now exactly how many people are reading every story of Westword,
Yeah.
and there's almost no comparison between the number of people who read and the number of people who comment. So if you like the story, you're likely not to comment. If you hate us, you're likely to comment.
Exactly,
Or if it's
yeah.
a trip down memory lane, you're really likely to comment. Nostalgia really gets people, and I think you're seeing that this morning.
When before the internet, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I have 7 screens in front of me. I mean, that's unbelievable, and I kind of watch them all. But we would get mail and snail mail. We wouldn't get the kind of stuff we get now. And Berg would do this. He taught me this trick. He'd open the letter, he'd flip it on the back. If it wasn't signed, he'd throw it out. He wouldn't read it. And I was the other way. I'd read everything. And how much input now comes to you by, Patricia, comes to you by snail mail versus how much is instantly shot to you Westword about a piece you did?
Almost nothing by snail mail.
I would imagine
really,
that.
almost nothing.
I would have guessed that for sure.
Yeah.
A lot via text, email. Email is what people use if they want to say things that are a little longer.
Yeah.
Comments on posts on Facebook, but very little snail mail.
Patricia, people
And with-
love texting. They love texting. Have you noticed that with your input? Do you guys get texts?
We get texts, but more interesting, we get a lot of direct messages. Fast
Okay,
on Instagram.
and I kind of classify that kind of like texting. You know, you just hit a comment, boom, it's done.
To get ready for the show, I did this. There's declining listenership. Terrestrial AM and FM
Yes.
radio listenership is on a downward trend, and it's dropped significantly. I looked at the measurement in 2011, the measurement in 2022. It is down significantly. Patty, what do you attribute that to, if?
Other options, and part of it is
Bingo,
you can
that's
listen
right.
to a podcast. You can pick other things when you want to listen. And we look at our audience, which is growing, but it's growing across platforms. If you look at people who just pick up the paper, that's smaller. If you look at people who read online every day, that's big. And if you look at some of our TikTok and Instagram videos, which play off a story, It's huge, but it's not people who are then going to read the rest of the stories.
Yeah, yeah. And so basically what you have, Peter and I were talking about this, there's no more broad appeal. It's almost like you got to get down to the gnat's hair. I mean, we're niche casting and niche writing. And that's what you're describing. You have a lot of people, but they're not congregating in one place.
Right, so you'll see how many people, we can follow how long people who stay on one article they're reading move on to other articles. Sometimes they're loyal Westword readers who read everything. Sometimes they're just searching. They find something about Tina Peters. They read it. They go on.
Ooh. Hey, there still are the hot buttons, the hot topics, are there not? What's the hottest topic right now, Patricia, for Westword?
I can tell you at this very moment, because I have it open on my screen,
Yep.
Jay Bianchi, the bar owner who was just convicted of 5 sex assault offenses.
That's the
hot topic.
the Grateful Dead bar, right?
Right. He owned several Grateful Dead bars. Longtime promoter, bar owner in Denver,
Yeah.
was charged a couple of years ago with numerous offenses and just got convicted of 5.
Who is, Tom, for you, in competition, streaming services and podcasts are major competitors for what we do.
Everything
what Tom
is
and I
really
do.
everything is.
Yeah,
Every next door is competing with talk radio. Next door, the app.
All right, Patricia, who? Because you're that city side newspaper that takes people on. Who do you see as competition?
Well, competition for time is a different thing now, but it's really what you're thinking about. Are people going to podcasts? Are they going to radio? Are they going to another publication? So when you're thinking about competition, it's all over the map. When you're thinking about competition for someone who might get a story first, that's still tricky because even though the Denver Post has been decimated, they have good reporters who are trying hard. The Denver Gazette is also doing a lot of stuff. Colorado Public Radio has the biggest newsroom in the state.
Yep.
And they're doing a lot of stories. So competition for getting the stories, there's a lot out there. Competition for getting the eyeballs, it's a bigger, broader range.
I'm going to ask both of you the same question. Patricia first. NPR, the public news, does great in the ratings. Why didn't KOA? I mean,
Different audience?
Well, no, I look at the Nielsen's, and NPR does great in the mornings.
Right, but that's a different audience. If you have a certain loyal, I would say progressive, left-leaning audience, they listen to NPR in the morning.
You said the magic word.
Right, and there's a loyalty there because it's a dogma. It's more than just listening, it's being part of it. And I think they vote sometimes with what they listen to and what they see. Do you remember we used to, when the people meters first came in, we noticed that a lot of the stations that used to get good ratings dropped to almost nothing. And it was because we figured out people would write down stuff they like, not necessarily what they're listening to. And we had a lot of stations that when they were diaried, when they were filling it out, they would put them down. But when the meters came along, it did not jive with what people wrote down. It because it was showing what they were actually listening to.
But what we're talking about is the way that ratings are done now. They're done with the
meters.
With the meters, and you have to dock them, and you have to carry them with you, and that's why.
Do you think they're accurate?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I know if you're in grad school and you bring Nielsen numbers in, now that Nielsen owns both sides, it's acceptable. I mean, they take it as part of your research. Patty, what's happened? Nielsen Television. My God, you read that stuff. And we talked about the late Ward Lucas and I were together, and he was talking about when it was Sardella and him and Adele Arakawa and everybody. They had monster numbers at 10 o'clock.
Right.
What do they got now?
No, I mean, they pale in comparison.
Patty?
But all TV.
Yeah, Patty, what happened to local television?
Options. A lot of options. When you think about local television, that's local television news. But younger people are getting their news from Instagram. They're getting their news from a lot of things. So I am sure older viewers are still getting their news from the local stations, but people are not tuning in. You're not getting the younger
it's all
generation
trending
tuning
down,
in.
Peter. Conventional broadcasting is all trending down.
What happened?
Conventional print trending down.
What happened, Tom, and these people of all locally? It's 2, Fox, and is it 9? What's the new group that these guys?
Oh, you mean that took over? That's taking over? Yeah.
Nexstar?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who the station?
Well, they haven't taken over yet. I mean, we'll see if that's
they're talking about it. Yeah.
No, I thought the deal was done. It was just a question of doing it. Patricia?
Hasn't been done. Yeah, I mean, both Hickenlooper and Bennett in the Senate are objecting to it now.
Big
Nothing
deal. Oh,
there.
boy. Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
But I'm assuming it will be okayed, and then we'll see what happens locally. And, of course, it's a huge national deal. But locally, what will happen when Fox is triumphant over Channel 9?
Thank
9
you.
News.
Thank you.
For a long time, the ratings leader, what will happen?
How does, well, when that happens, and my sense of it will be the model of what happened to radio. They'll step in.
The consolidation.
They'll start to fire people, sure. They have to shrink to profit. And that's what happened to all of us.
I think the first thing that happened in broadcasting and in television, television and radio, you lost a lot of the high-paid local anchors.
Thank you.
That concept disappeared.
Thank
So you would still have anchors, but they would be much less high-paid.
Oh.
They were not spokespeople. They were not representatives of the town.
You don't have big anchor talent or big attractive talent that people pay gobs of money. Even in New York right now, their salaries have gone way, way down.
The one guy who stands out in Denver TV is Kyle Clark at Channel 9. Whether you like him or don't like him, that's part of the attraction. He is the one name. Name another. I can't.
No, he's the one. But he came up with a good plan that appeals to a wider range.
Done.
So there are things that are new.
I mean,
the question is, will that stay?
Remember, and because we're all of us, if I said who's anchoring 4, you could tell me. Who's anchoring 7, you could tell me. Who's anchoring 9, you could tell me. Now I ask you to do it, you can't do it. I mean, I can't do it, and I know that Kyle Clark's on because everybody pitches a bitch, but that's good. I mean, I tell everybody that's smart. You've done something that people. Berg was a lesser or greater part of that. He drew people to him. Rush Limbaugh drew people to him. Charlie Kirk drew people to him. You wanted to hear what he was doing. When Patty, I can remember some of the legendary Patty Calhoun print editions of the private lives of elected officials. That was great stuff, and you got me off the hook. So it was. That was just wonderful stuff. And so now, what is Denver TV? You can get it on your phone, right, Tommy?
But and it's by design with management. They don't want superstars. They want a blended product, and
I see.
They want an online product. They want something that people can go to 24/7.
Right.
It's changing, just like Westword changed. I mean, it used to be just a newspaper. It's mostly an online. It's an online product right now.
Patty,
don't you think, Patty?
Right. Oh, absolutely. So we put up, say, 12 to 15 stories a day, and the print edition runs maybe 7 of those stories. So up to 100 stories a week we put up live, and the print edition has 7 in a week.
To both of you, the listening habits of the American people, what does that now reveal?
Short attention span.
Ooh.
If you look at average time spent listening or watching, it doesn't matter how good it is. On YouTube they say you have 6 seconds to capture attention.
Ooh, Patricia, that's what gets revealed?
Absolutely. And as I said, I can now look, which is very depressing sometimes because the stories that take the longest, the investigative pieces on government. If there's sex, that's a different thing. But if it's on money and how something's run, you won't get the readership. You'll have the impact ultimately because you might make change. But that is, I mean, the biggest story right now, Jay Bianchi just got booted by the new restaurants opening this week. That's fine. We're a local paper. People want to know that. Those are little businesses. We want people to know about them, but it's different.
Can you stay, Patricia? Can you stay?
Sure.
All right, Patty's on hold, and Tom's on hold. Tom Martino, Peter Boyles, Patricia Calhoun. This is a really special show. Coming up, Jimmy Sangenberger with us and Steve Reams with us. All is well in the world. Stay here. 710 KNUS. You know, I love doing this business, but I love this show. This one works for me. 710 KNUS, Fire in the Mountain. 72 the high today. Motorcycles outside. 71 on Sunday. And it's 60 degrees on Monday. We're talking about talk and the way this has been set up. And Joe Williams kicked the show. Actually, John Caldera, we crossed into his show. Then Stephen Tubbs and Brother Jeff and Mandy Connell and Tom Martino's in studio. And Patricia Calhoun from Westword's online. Jimmy Sengenberger coming up. A whole lot more. And I want to go back to Patricia and kick this one off. And we're talking about the, and Tommy made the remark that the bosses, the owners, don't want you to know or to have a personality. And Kyle Clark may be the last one in Denver, but we knew Bob Palmer. We knew Adele Arakawa. We knew Ed Sardella. We knew all of those names. And Tom's contention.
They want strong personalities, but to a point. They don't want them to become an entity unto themselves. That is really not what they want. And they do more of a group effort and more of a branding on the name than, not the name of the person, the name of the company or the station, as opposed to the individual. That, I mean, I've seen it from the inside, whether it's TV or radio. I'm not sure how print works or online works with that. I don't know if people really, the majority of people really care who wrote something as opposed to what it is. I mean,
I can't name anybody other than Kyle Clark. Patricia, does that hold up for you?
In the sense that I pay closer attention than most people, because when Brian Moss is doing a story, it's usually a story I wanted to do, and I know it's going to be good. But do the people watching CBS figure out it's Brian Moss, or do they just say, oh, this is an interesting story?
You know, I take that back. Brian's another name I know, and know him as a friend and also know him as an on-air, but he's a reporter.
Right.
He's not
right. Well, in some ways, the reporters, well, you have the Kyle Clark group, Marshall Zellinger, you have a few reporters are recognizable, but otherwise, and Micah Smith over at Channel 7, I see her a lot because she's out in the community, and that's another thing you remember, that you have to, now you go out in the community and you make sure people know what what station you're with,
but
what
Patty,
media outlet you're with.
As Patty says, she's not typical, obviously. I mean, most people, I don't know how to put this, most people are so consumed with themselves and their own brand, and I don't even mean just the bloggers. I'm talking about people. We are so, I hate even using the word narcissistic. I mean, people are so consumed with themselves and what they're doing. That's why we have so many people on social media. I don't think they give a damn about others like they used to. They're not groupies anymore. They might know the name Kyle Clark, but does that translate into, do they know what he did? Do they know his content? You know, Patty's talking about Brian Moss, and it's a story she might want to do, or she may have wanted to do, or she thinks it's going to be good. But truly, if you went out and asked 100 people about him, would they know about him? Would they know what Kyle did, or would they just know, I heard the name and it's on 9? We are such, it's so shallow. The industry is so shallow right now. It's what was the latest and greatest thing, and then that fades. Virility is what everyone's looking for, but that fades within a few days.
Patricia?
That's definitely true. And as I said, you have to, as a media outlet, you have to make sure people know you're local, you care, you're out there. And that's why you see a lot of these activities still going on. I don't know if the 9 News Health Fair still exists, but people still go out.
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
great.
You think about, you have to establish yourself as a local brand, but it's much more by the name rather than the personality.
Right, that's exactly right.
Channel 9 is the only thing I can think of that is with Kyle Clark. That is the exception that proves the rule.
One of the questions I have about this business, talk radio, is it was so destroyed by people telling lies that Donald Trump won the election. And
that's not the only lie. I mean, there are people that get on and look for ways to look for ways to
No, this one,
exaggerate.
They ended up in court and had
Right.
to pay.
No, I get it. Yeah.
And then the people who did the dirty work ran away, vanished. I mean, after bragging that they wanted to be deposed in courtrooms, ran out of courtrooms. People,
Peter,
yes.
I've known people in radio that know a story didn't sprout from truth, but it's a good topic and they want to talk about it and they continue with it. And they don't want to look at it too deeply because they don't want to prove to themselves it is false.
This one almost threw the Constitution out the window. Miss Calhoun.
Well, and it's not done yet, as we see with the pardons that have come, and Tina Peters maybe being moved to federal prison. What's going to happen there? There are so many ways now to get information out, and the problem is a lot of that information is false. It is really now,
Lies.
and it's getting worse.
Not
and it's
false.
getting worse with AI. No, I'm talking about AI where you can now do false photos, you can do false videos. And it's really, we are chasing so much of that all the time, and we discover, oh, that's a phony. So then do you write, here's this thing, it's a phony just to set people straight, because most consumers of media, any kind of media, don't have the time or knowledge on how to debunk it.
Well, it has been debunked, and when they had to go into that courtroom and defend Fox, and they couldn't do it, and they paid $875 million or whatever they paid, and that's a big jump from somebody fabricating the dog track. I mean, it's
right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you're talking about the big media outlets, but people can still, on a very low level, create the problem.
Well, indeed, and that's where it comes from.
With the TikTok.
This radio station. That's
Patty,
right.
do you think the fragmentation of the audience, literally with thousands and thousands of sources, do you think it is good? What's happening in media is good, the fragmentation and all of the offers. Everyone's a celebrity. Everyone has a podcast. Everyone, I mean, it's funny, but everyone has a blog. What do you think about that? Do you think it humbled us to a point we needed to be?
Yes, to an extent. It is a mixed blessing. The fact is, news used to come top down, and it was manufactured. It was targeted. It was fed to you, and you didn't have any choice. Now you have people who can cook up their own stories. They can get the information out. They go to a city council meeting. They can say what happened.
Yeah.
You have a lot more access to information, but what that means is you also have to go through all that information to come up with probably what's close to the truth.
We're coming up on time.
But the difference is there are options.
Patty, we're coming up on time because Tom's staying. I'll give you the last comment. What is it you'd like the audience to hear about all of this that we're talking about?
Frankly, the more media, the better. Just be a smart consumer. Find people you can trust. Find outlets you can trust. Look at others just to balance what you're getting. But be involved, care, and get out there locally and see what's really happening.
One of my questions I wrote down, are we now in a new era? And Tommy, you can jump.
Oh, my God. Of course we are. Yes.
And what comes with that? I mean, I wrote this down to myself. Radio happened late in the 19th century, so it's no longer in its infancy, and maybe did it get passed by?
Oh, yeah, it's dying. I mean, conventional broadcast radio is going to be dead if it's not already. I mean, you have to find other ways, other outlets, other ways to spread your brand and new content. You have to get in on creative content. You can't just be somebody who gets on the mic and starts philosophizing. You have to have some really good content.
Patricia, final comment on that.
That's absolutely true. But again, it's great that people have more access to information than they ever had before. You can go look at those city council minutes. You can go look at that police report. But it also puts more responsibility on consumers.
We are at the end of this segment. You made it happen. Patricia Calhoun, Westword's editor-in-chief. Tom's staying. Patty, thank you very much. And we need one of those legendary lunches. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure.
All right,
Thanks.
be safe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, on the other side, Jimmy Sangenberger. He'll join us. Steve Reams. I think one of the guys I hope we get a quick drop from Billy Thorpe. Tom Martino and Peter Boyles continue on 710 KNUS.